passingly about a man named Shakespeare. I only read about him passingly, but I remember one thing he wrote that kind of moved me. He put it in the mouth of us who said, to be or not to be. He was in doubt about something. Whether it was nobler in the mind of man to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, moderation, or to take up arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing, end them. And I go for that. If you take up arms, you'll end it. But if you sit around and wait for the one who's in power to make up his mind that he should end it, you'll be waiting a long time. And in my opinion, the young generation of whites, blacks, browns, whatever else there is, you're living at a time of extremism, a time of revolution, a time when there's got to be a change. People in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built, and the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods. And I, for one, will join in with anyone, don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth. Thank you.
Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. Today's subject matter is going to be President Obama and the black community. If you were in tune last week, you know, we had a family discussion about our different opinions of President Obama. I got a little heated myself, and I want to apologize to other people out there. And everybody has an opinion because, you know, being black is a personal thing, you know, and we all take it differently. And I see Obama as a blessing, and a lot of people don't. And I think it's all according to what you've been exposed to in life. I play Malcolm because I see how Malcolm was treated among his own peers. You know, the story of Malcolm is this piece you see here. Malcolm was, I think he died. This was in December of '64. He died in February '65. And the circumstances of how he died, it was, to me, it was a black-on-black crime. It was the fact that he had a different opinion of Elijah Muhammad than he had previously. It was an instance where Malcolm had discovered that Honorable Elijah Muhammad had given birth to 7 different children by 6 or 7 different teenage women. I understand in the African community this is the normal, this is norm. But here in America, when you're supposed to be a person of moral standard, but he was the moral standard for Malcolm. He was the one that dragged Malcolm out of the gutter and made a true man of him. So when Malcolm discovered what happened to him, what happened to Malcolm? I mean, you're a younger person. You're in your 40s. Welcome to the show, Bruce Wright, one of the producers here. Bruce is the one that called in and said that God was an American. Wasn't American. So we invite him on the show, and anybody else has comments about being black and dealing with Obama's image and our opinions of this brother. So I bring up Malcolm and see how Malcolm was fell from grace because he turned on Elijah Muhammad. Do you know the story about what happened between?
I do. Yes.
All right. You study history.
Yeah, well,
all right, and you're in your 40s, right?
Well, I agreed to come on the show. I didn't say you can give away my age.
Oh, well, now we want to get everybody feel comfortable in what you've been exposed to in life.
I might still be in my 20s. Who knows?
Okay, all right. Well, you know, well, I'm proud to say I'm 72.
Yeah,
so I've been
you look
through
very
it a couple
good
of
for
times.
It too. You wear your age well.
And I was 24 when Malcolm was killed. So I knew the circumstances. So Farrakhan can't tell me anything about he didn't have anything to do with Malcolm's murder. They can say that the government did it and all sorts of, but he still has to explain to himself, look in the mirror. I'm sure at his age now he knows that I mean, even Graham said that, Farrakhan said that he didn't understand Malcolm and Martin in those days. That there's a different revelation once you get past a certain digit in life. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Bruce Wright,
Thank you.
Producer here at M&N.
Thank you. Well,
Thank you for coming on, man.
One, I've been watching your show for all these years now, and I have the honor of sitting next to you and Brother Witherspoon, so it's a real honor.
Well, you were at home last week. Tell us what...
I was at home about to rush out the door.
Why did all these guys from Community Cop call up and congratulate Graham?
Well, you know.
How many invites did you get to go on the program?
To go on the program?
Community Cop. Well, tell us what you think about Obama.
So, about Obama, wow. I mean, any specific questions? I mean, because I have a...
We have our... I think he's a blessing from God.
Okay.
Graham said that Jeremiah Wright was threw under the bus 5 years ago. But, I mean, updated, we worry about the drone strikes and killing kids.
Right.
And the comparison of Assad. Right. One guy called up and said Obama's no different than Assad as far as killing is concerned.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, I think that everybody, certainly people of color, black people in America, and really around the world, can agree that it was certainly a proud moment in history to see the first black man elected as president in this modern day era in America. I don't even have children yet, and I'd be honest with you, I never thought that my children would live to see a black president.
Right.
So that's just how far removed I was from the possibility of it happening.
And
but
tell us, give us a little bit of your background, where you were raised.
I'm a Harlemite. Okay. As a matter of fact, my father was a Harlemite. My father used to be the driver for Adam Clayton Powell Jr.
Oh, amen.
When he was a very young man. So that's how far back my roots go.
All right.
In Harlem, knew him personally very well.
Yeah, great.
And spoke very highly of him. So when I was a child around the house, I knew who he was. I knew who all these people were.
All right.
You know, I mean, I guess you could say I'm like a young old soul. I grew up listening to jazz. I knew who Count Basie and Duke Ellington was when I was 3, 4 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the black culture.
So, yeah. And I went to Wadley, I don't know if Wadley Junior High School on 114th.
Yeah.
Then I went to Brooklyn Tech for 1 year and then went to boarding school in upstate in Poughkeepsie, New York. And was the proverbial fly in the milk, I guess you could say.
Especially in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
That's up south.
Yeah, exactly. So I know what it's like to be the only black kid in the class. And when the issue of slavery or race comes up, all eyes dart over toward me. And I know what that experience is like.
But you had the Harlem experience, so you had your armor on, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I had 2 loving parents who prepared me for a lot of things. You know, I'm the youngest of 3 brothers.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well...
But you were talking about Obama. Yeah, you know, I think that it was a proud moment, but at the same time, I think we have to move beyond just symbolism and what does he really stand for. You know, if he's just going to, you know, be a friend to the corporations and continue with the Bush doctrine, so to speak, and this whole surveillance state. It's almost like we're seeing a rise of fascism in America. It's becoming scary, to be honest with you. And,
well, we know the CIA runs the drone program.
Yeah, but you know what? If we held Bush accountable for certain things, we also have to hold Obama accountable for certain things. He's a very intelligent man.
Bush was never in charge. Cheney was running that show.
That may be true, but I'm just saying we still held him accountable for it.
All right.
You know?
But we didn't know the truth.
Well, then, in knowing the truth, you're even more accountable.
Okay.
See, because once you know the deal, you can't sit and talk like you're ignorant of what's going on.
But if you know what a murderous society this is, you go back to Vietnam and you go back to any of the atrocities of America. Go back to slavery.
Go back to 1620.
Oh, wow.
And you can predate that.
Well, it's always going to be, but we have survived all this. And why are we killing each other so much now?
Now, wait a minute. You're going from Obama to black on black crime. Now, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk everything that affects us as black people.
All right. Since you went to black on black crime, There was a meeting.
Now, that was Malcolm and Farrakhan. That's what the opening was.
Okay.
There was a meeting in Brooklyn Heights, in 2007. It was a fundraiser for Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
I was present. A number of the black political figures of the city were there.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Barron wanted Barack Obama to address the issue of police brutality.
Mm.
He said, I'm not going to touch that. He said it candidly, I'm not going to touch that.
This is before he became president?
This was when he was running.
Was he running? Yeah.
He said he was not going to touch that. Again, what Jeremiah Wright said was correct. He's a politician. He's going to say and do what he needs to say and do to get where he wants to be.
Do you think he would be president today if he had said something and came out as forceful as we wanted him to?
No, he wouldn't have, because realistically,
black people don't elect presidents.
Never have, you never will. And it's the point I was getting to.
Okay.
The mindset of mainstream America has changed to the point that whites would be willing to elect a black man and put him in that coveted seat. Not that all whites are in agreement with it. Not that they even like the notion. Not that they wouldn't like to get rid of him one way or the other.
Yeah.
If there were certain checks and balances there. But if every black person in America voted for Barack Obama, he wouldn't be the president.
That's right.
Okay. So his agenda could not be about the black agenda.
Right.
He had to be running for the presidency of the United States, which includes everybody.
And only, in all fairness to the populace of America, I mean, you had to go that route. I mean, you have to appeal to all people.
Certainly.
I mean, one thing you learn about racism is not to become a racist yourself, because it does nothing but harbor hatred and destroys you internally.
You don't have to hate somebody to put them in check.
Oh, by all means.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to address the problem doesn't mean that you're a racist. I mean, you're simply...
No, I'm not calling him a racist.
No, I'm not saying that you are, but I'm just saying that he has only discussed race reluctantly.
Yeah.
When, his feet was held to the fire.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I don't think that he would have made any comments about it. Even the whole Trayvon Martin case, he kind of felt like he had to say something because pressure was building for him to, at the very least, make some sort of statement.
How many of the black extremists talk about the racism that's portrayed towards Obama? Now, how many people talking about the filibustering that's going on in the Congress?
Minister Farrakhan
spoke on that?
Did an excellent piece on politicians and race as it affects Barack Obama. He did it about a year ago. It's online. You can go on YouTube and look it up.
That.
It's a fantastic piece because he identifies each politician one by one with regard to their comments, their racist comments towards Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And these are major leaders in the U.S. Senate and in the House of Representatives. It's very, very candid. But Barack Obama has yet to even address the issue of race as it pertains to him sitting in the seat of the presidency in the United States.
Well, what about the comments made by Cornel West and Tavis Smiley and
those
some
are not
of the
racist
others?
statements. Okay.
What, that Obama's a black Republican?
What's the difference between a Republican and a Democrat?
Color in this case.
There is no real difference. There isn't much of a difference between
Oh, come on. I mean, you talk about the Tea Party, they're Republicans, and they're not even human, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they're about as racist as you can get. And they're the Klan, plain and simple.
The Democratic Party
used to be the Klan, too.
Was the Klan. The Democratic Party was the party that did not allow us to vote in this country.
In the 60s.
What's the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party?
Barack Obama.
He's not the party. He may be
He's
quote
representing
unquote
the
the
Democrats.
party leader, but he's not the party.
All right, let's hear
And his
from
own
the
party
president.
members are bucking him for one
Now
thing.
we're going to bring us up to date and talk about Syria. Now this is Obama's weekly address. I hope you listen to this, Mr. President. I'm in your corner, my brother. And we're going to have some call-ins today, too, like we did last week. Let's play the president, and this is his weekly address on Syria.
This week, when I addressed the nation on Syria, I said that, in part because of the credible threat of U.S. military force, there is the possibility of a diplomatic solution. Russia has indicated a new willingness to join with the international community in pushing Syria to give up its chemical weapons, which the Assad regime used in an attack that killed more than 1,000 people on August 21st. I also asked Congress to postpone a vote on the use of military force while we pursue this diplomatic path. And that's what we're doing. At my direction, Secretary of State Kerry is in discussions with his Russian counterpart. But we're making it clear that this can't be a stalling tactic. Any agreement needs to verify that the Assad regime and Russia are keeping their commitments. That means working to turn Syria's chemical weapons over to international control and ultimately destroying them. This would allow us to achieve our goal: deterring the Syrian regime from using chemical weapons, degrading their ability to use them, and making it clear to the world that we won't tolerate their use. We've seen indications of progress. As recently as a week ago, the Assad regime would not admit that it possessed chemical weapons. Today it does. Syria has signaled a willingness to join with 189 other nations, representing 98% of humanity, in abiding by an international agreement that prohibits the use of chemical weapons. And Russia has staked its own credibility on supporting this outcome. These are all positive developments. We'll keep working with the international community to see that Assad gives up his chemical weapons so that they can be destroyed. We will continue rallying support from allies around the world who agree on the need for action to deter the use of chemical weapons in Syria. And if current discussions produce a serious plan, I'm prepared to move forward with it. But we are not just going to take Russia and Assad's word for it. We need to see concrete actions to demonstrate that Assad is serious about giving up his chemical weapons. And since this plan emerged only with a credible threat of U.S. military action, we will maintain our military posture in the region to keep the pressure on the Assad regime. And if diplomacy fails, the United States and the international community must remain prepared to act. The use of chemical weapons anywhere in the world is an affront to human dignity and a threat to the security of people everywhere. As I've said for weeks, the international community must respond to this outrage. A dictator must not be allowed to gas children in their beds with impunity. And we cannot risk poison gas becoming the new weapon of choice for tyrants and terrorists the world over. We have a duty to preserve a world free from the fear of chemical weapons for our children. But if there's any chance of achieving that goal without resorting to force, then I believe we have a responsibility to pursue that path.
Interesting. Now, I see this whole approach as being a masterful move on his part. Now, we know when they had the G20 summit that supposedly Russia and America weren't talking because of the spy, what was his name?
Snowden.
All right. Say it again?
Snowden.
He's not a spy.
All right. So now we know exactly that he went over there and made a deal with Putin and got this deal that we're talking about. Now, I thought this was quite clever to cry wolf, and all the Republicans got all excited that, Obama's ready to go really kill his image by going to war. He knew that the Congress would never approve it. But
Well,
give us your opinion.
I mean, he
go ahead, Bruce.
What do you think?
went to Libya without congressional approval and got rid of,
Yeah.
what's the name?
And made a lot of black people angry, too.
Can't think of his name right now. It escapes me.
Gaddafi.
But Gaddafi, yes. So, I'm just tired of this argument of politicians pimping children as an excuse for wanting to go to
That's
war.
a good one, pimping children.
I mean, really. I mean, because, you know, I mean, let's face it. I mean, how many children have been killed as a result of drone attacks? And if there are attacks launched in Syria,
drone attacks are legal.
Says who?
Well, yeah, who
CIA.
made it legal? You know, they make up their rules as they go along.
Of course.
So,
well, what about Assad? He's noted as being a
I mean, but
tyrant.
has there been absolute proof that Assad has been behind these chemical
Russia's
attacks?
trying to say the rebels did it.
Exactly.
But they don't have the capacity.
So Obama said that we believe that the Assad regime. He didn't say that we know for sure.
Well, haven't they been saying all this time, the last 2.5 years, Obama, do something about this?
I mean, it just seems like we've seen this play before. I mean, when Colin Powell sat in front of the United Nations and held up that crack vial as an excuse to go to war. I mean, but it just seems like there are these.
We know that was a complete farce.
Well, a lot of people claim that they didn't know it at the time.
A lot of people drank the Kool-Aid on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
You can say that in retrospect.
But we knew it when it was happening.
Yeah, but America was behind them.
The
majority of
knew
Americans
that there
were behind them.
No weapons of mass destruction.
Blix reported before Colin Powell made his speech that Saddam Hussein had nothing. They knew it.
Right.
It was a lie. The American people bought into the nonsense and went along with the program. Okay? They said yesterday they don't know where these missiles were launched with the chemical substances.
Well, who has that capacity?
Well, let's look at it. Let's look at who sells these weapons. We ought to look at that. The United States sells these weapons.
Yeah.
In Fort Detrick, Maryland, we produce these weapons.
Right.
We sell them on the international market. We give $1 billion a month to Assad in support of his government.
Who?
We do, in foreign aid.
Is that right?
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Whoa.
Now, we didn't pull back on the money.
Is that coming?
The money is still going. So why
that right?
why are we still financing his government, helping to finance the government?
Well, I'm sure he
and
doesn't
we talk about
approve
we
of
want to
that.
go to war. Cut the purse strings. All right? The same thing, you can go back to 1944 with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where over 100,000 people were killed in a second. And then we used the survivors as guinea pigs in our labs to see just how effective radiation poisoning is. And it wasn't a humanitarian gesture that we brought Japanese here to quote unquote treat them medically. It was to find out how we could further ramp up our technology in nuclear weapons.
Okay.
So, you know, all of this is a game that's being played. And like you said, how many children are dying? More children die in war than any other group of people.
Always. A fella called in last week telling you about 1 million Iraqis dying.
Right.
Right.
No, well,
They don't talk about that, and this is another thing.
I mean, but
They
you
don't
can go
report.
back to.
They don't report. This people think you have freedom of the press here, and you don't. I have friends that were at CBS when the war broke out in Iraq. They couldn't report on what was going on until the government gave them permission to even report that the bombing raids had begun. You don't have freedom to give out information, not in this country or anywhere on the planet. The government controls it.
We know from Obama below, there are all sorts of atrocities. We went over 9/11 last week. There's the biggest atrocity going. I mean, people still today believe the buildings were knocked down by airplanes. Now, any fool knows that you cannot knock a building down like that. That was planned demolition. Yet everybody, every year, they go through this hoopla about 9/11.
They got to keep the lie going.
They keep the lie going.
Yeah.
And then Cheney was behind all that. We've proved that. But yet nothing's done. Nobody barely talks about it. Now, since Obama's president, we got to change. Now, you said today that we're going to have call-ins later, so you get to say something. We're going to have a shout-out. I like last week. But, you know, you were saying that there were so many executive orders that Obama's passed and I didn't realize it. I want people to bring this information to me because, I mean, I'm in the dark when it comes to that. All I see is the filibustering that's going on for the last 5 years and And anything Obama says, the Republicans go against it. We're standing up here now ready for them to close down the government.
Well,
with 30% of the Tea Party.
But I think that you have to distinguish between the right criticizing Obama and remnants of the Tea Party who are doing it. I mean, because they have like a racist agenda. They just don't like the fact that a black man is the president. But you cannot lump us all together when we have legitimate criticisms of a sitting president.
I'm not, but I
it
don't
seems
hear
like
any
that's what
criticism
you're
of the Tea
doing, though.
Party.
I mean, because you mentioned Cornel West and Tavis Smiley and others. Anyone who speaks out against what Obama's doing.
No, I welcome the criticism.
That they're
That's
just
why we're
tearing
doing
him
the show.
down. No, there are legitimate things that one could.
Let's talk about that.
Well, okay.
What are solutions?
Well, I mean,
pimping children. What should he be doing?
He's the president.
He's saying executive orders.
He's written over 140 executive orders since he's been president. The most executive orders written by a president was during FDR's tenure as president for 12 years. He wrote over 3,000.
Right.
And that was running through World War II. But, for instance, we have the health care bill.
All right.
Obamacare. One of the members of my church, he's a physician here in New York, and he said, if Obamacare is implemented October 1st, he said, the medical system doesn't have the capacity to treat the people of the country.
Right. Okay.
They don't have the medicine, they don't have the personnel, they don't have the equipment. He says, the program, the idea is great, but there's nothing that the medical profession can do to support it. He said, they don't even have vaccines to cover certain illnesses if there's an outbreak.
And why is that?
Because they don't have it, because
the Republicans cut all the budgets.
Budgets are cut and production is down. Even the military is outsourcing a lot of their stuff.
Yeah. Because of the Republican filibuster.
And the government is wasting money with that because they're paying the military and they're paying civilians to come in and do the jobs that the military was doing, which is stupid. You're paying a guy a higher rate of pay than you're paying the military personnel, plus you're paying their health benefits as well, and they're talking about fiscal responsibility. You got two people here covering the same position. And then the people who should have the experience in the military repairing the machinery and such, they're outsourcing that to union labor to do mechanical repairs, even cleaning up the barracks, mopping floors. They outsource it to a company. But the doctor was saying, let me get back to that come October 1st, everybody has to have insurance. And if they don't, they'll get fined. And then the medical system can't take care of the people. They don't have the capacity to take care of the people.
What was happening before? It was putting everybody in bankruptcy if you couldn't afford to get sick.
Well, even if you have the money, what I'm saying is this. They don't have the personnel, the equipment, or anything to sustain the entire population of the United States to come in and just get medical examinations.
What can change this? Changing the representatives in the Congress. 2014 with a new election?
I don't know. I just think that the whole medical system needs to be overhauled. It doesn't need to be revised. It needs to be replaced, to be honest with you. Whenever you make basic human necessities a for-profit industry, that's one of your first problems right there. I mean, if you look at the fact that we spend so much money in this country on the medical industry, but
health.
but yet, our health record in this country is abysmal.
That's right.
So we outspend other nations, but yet our health record is worse than than countries that spend less than us. You look at the markup in the industry, like a syringe may cost less than $1 to manufacture, but by the time the hospitals get it and they pay for it and then they charge you for it, the markup can be literally hundreds of times more than its original cost. So, I mean, you're just talking about just I mean, money, the markup.
Doctors pimping the system.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
All right, let's do this. One of my favorite advisors of President Obama, we're going to watch, all right?
Okay.
One of my favorite advisors, all right? Let's go to Michelle Obama, all right? Now, this is my girl. I mean, woo! This is a true lady, all right? And then we'll come back. We're going to show you the wind beneath his wing.
I stepped into the office for a bit to call some of the men and women serving in Iraq and Afghanistan and to thank them for their service. And when he told me about those conversations, it reminded me once again of how blessed we are to live in a country like this, where our freedoms are guided by the service of so many heroes. When I've had the chance to meet with these men and women and their families, I have always walked away feeling awed by their courage and their sacrifice. So this year, I wanted to take a minute to have some of those Thanksgiving conversations myself. In fact, that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to call Jessica Allen, the wife of an Army veteran who was deployed in Afghanistan earlier this year, and we're going to talk to her and her family.
It's a lot. My favorite is the thanks. I absolutely love it when people stop us, and usually they tap me on the shoulder and say, "Was your husband injured in combat?" And I'll say yes, and I'll say Afghanistan, and then they'll approach him and thank him for his service.
Hello.
Hi, may I speak to Jessica, please?
You're talking to her?
Hi, Jessica. This is Michelle Obama. How are you?
Are you serious?
I am so serious.
Oh my gosh. Well, hi. I am absolutely fabulous. How are you?
I am terrific. Just glad to talk to you. How's everything going?
It's going as good as it can.
Yeah. I am calling you because you are amazing. I just wanted to say thank you for all that you do for this country, all that you're doing for your family, and you are the kind of example and the story we want to make sure that all of America hears and knows about, because in addition to managing your family, we understand that you are also just a super support system to other military families, walking people through the emotional process. And it's important for the rest of the country to understand the challenges, the emotional, not just the financial or physical challenges when a loved one is away or is wounded. It's everything that goes along with it. And I think that so many Americans don't know.
They don't.
And you're bringing voice to that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to call you.
You have no idea how much we Army wives are so thankful for you and Dr. Biden for what you're doing.
Well,
it's so important. And
America is stepping up. We just need to tell your stories more, because your stories tell it all. And it's just that people need to know you're out there. They need to know what you're going through. So just keep speaking up. Keep doing what you're doing. You have the personality and the energy to send a message to the world. Make sure you take care of yourself in all of this,
I will.
too.
Trust me. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
It's great to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, same to you.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Families like the Allens are a true inspiration. And this Thanksgiving, you can do your part to say thanks. We've partnered with the USO on a program called Thanks from Everywhere. And to be part of that program, go to joiningforces.gov/thanks, and you can write a quick note that troops and families will be able to see online and at USO centers across the country. At a time when we're sitting down around the table to think about the blessings we've received this past year, I hope you'll take a minute to thank America's heroes and their families for everything they do for our country. And on behalf of myself and my family, I wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, and God bless.
I mean, all right, violins.
It's warm and fluffy.
I mean, kind of fluffy, and I love it. I mean, I'm so proud of that, because the fact that in all this madness, he gets to go home and say hello to his ladies at home. The point bringing up that even with this, the extreme right, yesterday, she recommended that people drink water. and Rush Limbaugh comes out and had something nasty to say about that. Can you believe it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, members of my family have served over the years, and my son is a lifer.
A lifer?
In the military.
Oh.
And I feel sorry. Let me go back. I saw a young lady who had served in Iraq a few years ago. She was with her little boy, and she was walking on her hands down the hallway. Both her legs had been blown off. We have tens and thousands of veterans who have been maimed, crippled over Cheney and this BS.
Right.
All right?
Right.
These people are victims.
Right.
They're victims.
And that doesn't even talk about the psychological trauma.
Thank
Amen.
you.
That,
all right?
Amen.
They're not talking about the suicide rate
Hey,
in the military.
Right.
They're not talking about, they're just beginning to talk about post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
And all of these military personnel are victims of the BS coming out of Capitol Hill. That's what they are.
Right.
It's not about patriotism. If you think patriotism means that you're supposed to throw your life down the tube because they say go jump down the tube, you're crazy. That's not patriotism, that's insanity. When we question, Martin Luther King says, I criticize America because I love America. When he challenged the government on the war in Vietnam.
Right.
And nothing has changed since then.
No.
When young people give their lives over a bogus scheme,
Yeah.
and the best you can do is give them some kind words. See, the crime is the fact that they were there at all. That was the crime.
Yeah. Especially
And
on
the
a
people
lie.
in this country had better wake up. They had better wake up. You go to war over something that is truly justifiable.
And this is
Not
over,
this rah, rah, rah that these politicians are
and
throwing
this is
forth.
over 9/11, which was a big lie.
That too. And that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So, you know, this lady, her husband was wounded. I don't know what, she said it's the best to be expected. So I guess it's not that great.
Right.
The treatment that the vets are getting is abysmal. It's terrible. So, you know, all this patriotic rah, rah, rah doesn't move me in the least. I don't care who it is. Because they're not showing truly what is happening.
Right.
The homicides that are taking places on military bases between husbands and wives.
Don't you think this might help somebody who's about to commit suicide?
Not that.
How?
Not that.
I mean, I don't see how.
So
that
this
would,
is just good PR? You see it as good PR?
It's all. It's
She's
all.
not doing. She's not a
Let's hear what the-
psychologist.
let's
She's
hear
not
what the
doing.
call- Let's hear what the caller has to say. Sound off. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Somebody on the line? Speak up.
I can't hear you too well, but I guess you can hear me.
Yeah?
Brother Winston, man, you right on target. Thank you. You know, listening to Michelle and Brother Gilchrist, how you doing, brother? This is Big Tall Mark from Harlem.
Okay.
And good to see you, brother. I hear you a lot on the radio. It's good to see you, brother. I forgot your name over there.
Bruce.
Bruce. You may have seen me on television, Terrence.
Yes, man, yes.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, man.
My
It's
middle
good to see you.
name.
And I hear you all the time.
Thank you.
Listen, I hear what Michelle is saying. I love Michelle, but unfortunately, she's only given a very small part of the big picture of what individuals are dealing with freedom. Our freedoms are not encompassed in military aggression. Do we agree on that, Mr. Gilchrist?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but now, so the question is, brother, where does it lie? Do you know where it lies?
Within
it lies in understanding the actual treaties that were physically indoctrinated by our predecessor forefathers who were of various other cultures. That's a long story. I'm gonna give you one treaty, Mr. Gilchrist, and you should go get it. It's called the Treaty of Peace and Friendship from 1787. If you go get that and read that, that's the stuff that our good black president and his wife should be talking about, but they're not going to talk about that. That's where our freedoms are. Our freedoms are nowhere. It's been squandered and flushed down the toilet literally by these neocon conservatives as we speak. But we can redeem ourselves, fellas, if we go do the homework at the Library of Congress. That's where we have to go and raid that place of all of the information and so forth, as far as understanding our status as a people, okay? Because everything we're going through now is because of lack of understanding of what's already in writing. And I'll wind down by saying I love you all and keep up the good work in peace and love.
Thank you.
Yeah, amen. You know, it's hard to keep up with everybody's take on what we should be doing. And, you know, I just give out my Gilchrist experience. I can't investigate everything. But I see it from a different angle, and perhaps somebody else. Well, you want to take the next call, and then we have comments. Next caller, please. That was no question anyway, was it?
Good comment, though.
Good comment. Next caller.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi.
Yes, I'm just curious about a statement that was made earlier. Who do you hold responsible for 9/11?
The government.
The government of the United States?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, you know, did you see the show last week?
No, I really don't. It's very hard for me to
well,
follow
look at
people through without
go
getting
on YouTube and look Justice for 9/11.
Can you answer me the question as I speak to you?
Yeah, it says so in this piece. I'm giving you some information that you can see for yourself where I got it from.
I'm talking to you right now.
Who's responsible?
In
Silverstein, who bought the building 6 months before it expired. One of the Bush brothers was head of security in the building that set up the explosives. I think it was a government.
Of the United
Cheney
States.
and the crew. Halliburton. Illuminati. That's who's responsible.
Not the outside forces.
None.
Let me say to you while I try to contain my anger. It proves to me that you can be dragged
Why are
to
you
the
mad?
streets and still be a knucklehead.
I beg your pardon?
It says to me, speaking on television, sitting there walking an intelligent way and still be knuckleheads.
Well, I tell you what. Go look at Justice for 9/11.
Because my stomach is in such knots listening to you people. And I'm just glad that your form goes no further than the station you're in.
Go to a different channel.
Well,
if you don't want to listen to the evidence.
When you people come on, you need to have some empirical data. Your stomach is in knots. You need to get some Pepto-Bismol.
Oh, you're funny. You got any more nuts? I mean, you got any more people calling and comments? Any more? Now, see, that's what I mean. Nobody will accept the fact that the buildings came down by demolition. I told you to go to Justice for 9/11. Everybody knows that. If you look the way the buildings fell down, you should know from that.
Well, if that
jet
caller...
fuel doesn't melt steel. These are facts.
If that caller believes
Not
the
my
official
opinion.
story, then he needs to have his head examined.
Yeah, you're the fool.
Because it's not even in alignment with scientific analysis.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. He's a non-thinking patriot.
So, yeah.
Who will believe anything that he is told.
Now, I feel sorry for the fireman that ran into the building.
He said his stomach was in a knot. Maybe if he pulls his head from out of his, you know what, it won't be in a knot anymore.
What about the people who died in that building that was sacrificed for money?
I knew about 9/11 in 1999.
You knew it was coming?
Knew it was coming. I sat with a government agent in 1999 who is no longer with us, who informed me about 9/11. Number two, I used to be, and I hope your stomach is getting better, I used to be at Langley Airfield on a fairly regular basis. Langley protects the White House, the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
The CIA is across the street.
Right.
And there are always a few hundred F-A-18s on the tarmac because their job is to
Where
protect.
were
They were not anywhere on the eastern seaboard for 9/11. You don't have the corridor, the eastern seaboard, unprotected. You don't have the capital of the United States, the White House, unprotected. Anytime an aircraft is hijacked, the U.S. Air Force
It should be on
is
it.
scrambled,
On it.
and their jets intercept that plane.
You tell
They
me.
could not find planes to intercept. Couldn't find jets to intercept the
Because they
planes.
were having war games.
The plane that went down in Pennsylvania didn't crash. It was shot down.
That's right.
Because the litter field was over 10 miles long. All right? But this gentleman calls up talking about wearing a suit. A suit doesn't make you intelligent. It's what's in your head that makes you intelligent. All right? And he calls up. He has no empirical data. All he has is his emotions.
That's
and
it.
this is the problem with Americans. They get caught up in the bag of ignorance because they're being led by people that are smarter than them. And just as the caller said earlier, you need to go down to the Library of Congress. People need to sit down and read and start studying and analyzing what they're hearing as opposed to what they're seeing. No aircraft struck the U.S. Pentagon. I'll say that again.
It's a missile.
You have not seen a photograph of an airplane at the Pentagon.
Right.
Nowhere in the world could the fuselage leave a hole and the wings have not hit the building, but you never saw an airplane outside of that building. It was not an airplane that struck that building.
Those engines are made by Rolls-Royce, right? These are Rolls-Royce built, and you didn't see any engines outside the building.
I mean, that's...
All right, let's take this other caller. Maybe he's calling back. You calling back?
Yeah. I said you was three knuckleheads talking about intellectual masturbation, and no one in this country listens to three jerk-offs. That's you guys.
Put a condom on.
Well,
I mean,
we got anybody with some sense
don't waste your time
Moving right
responding
program?
to clowns. I mean, come on.
I mean, this is
Don't worry, forget
somebody
about
with intelligence call.
zero call. What?
it.
So,
All right, back to you, Bruce.
yeah.
So,
See what we're up against?
the critiquing of Barack Obama, along with every other president, is necessary.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean that we don't like him. Doesn't mean we don't want him to be president. But he's got to be critiqued. When he's right, he's right. When he's wrong, he's wrong.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, to just not critique him means that we should just ignore
That's why we're doing this show.
everything that...
That's why, exactly why I'm doing this show again.
Okay.
Because I want to hear the critiques.
All right.
I want to know. I just present my side, and I want to hear what you got
When
to
he
say.
presented,
You have another caller? See if we got somebody with some sense. Any sense on the line?
Yeah, sense is on the line.
Okay.
Good evening, my brothers. Full faculties.
Did you hear this last guy?
don't forget about
You
him.
always
Let's
look at
go ahead.
those kind of people, and
ahead,
you
man.
guys are absolutely right. And there was no skid marks, no burn marks on the grass going to the Pentagon.
That's right.
You know, there's a whole lot of BS. Illuminati. This is all it's about. A handful of people ruling this here world. All right, brothers, continue on to give that man his education.
Amen. You got to be patient.
I'll just say this, that since this whole 9/11 thing, we have seen just a downward spiral in terms of our rights, our civil liberties, the freedoms that we thought we had. The fact that when you ride the subway now, there is a possibility that someone may motion for you to come over so they can search through your bag. I mean, if you had said to someone 25 years ago that this day would come, they would have laughed at you.
Right.
I mean, and the fact that they're using this to say that, well, we're trying to fight the threat of terrorism. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
If there is a terrorist, I'm sure that they're far more intelligent than that. The New York City subway is one of the most open systems that you can imagine. There's so many ways to penetrate the subway system. Right. So, I mean, it's just, it's a complete farce.
One last comment on 9/11. Now, how is it 110 stories of steel fall in 10 seconds?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, yeah, I mean, we all know that there's no way possible that it could not have happened the way that the officials claimed that it did.
That's a lie.
So, I mean, that caller, I wouldn't even
we got
waste more
somebody,
time.
I bet you it's the same guy calling back. Huh? I hope you guys not putting the same guy back on again.
No, it's not the same guy calling back. Good afternoon, Mr. Gilchrist. How you doing?
Hi, how's it going?
Good. This is son of MJQ again.
Hey,
how you doing?
Hey, Connie Case. Connie
yeah,
Case.
That's right. Listen, if you want to get a hold of some bags of groove, some cylinder, give me a call, and I might be able to
leave your number, please. Leave your number, man. All right?
Okay. Well,
make sure you leave your number. That was my favorite group, man.
Okay, man.
Matter of fact,
listen,
I shot Milt Jackson. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I watched you guys do your little Ali Frazier thing last week.
Oh, that was fun.
That was very interesting and very enlightening. But my question to you is, there are a lot of people, because we have a black president now, that say that Obama should be doing something more for the black community. We have a lot of violence in the black community, as you guys know, a lot of black-on-black crime. And there are those out there that say that he's not saying enough or doing enough. And I want to know what's your take on that. But I'll leave you my number and get a hold of me. I got some European concert up there. I got the last concert that the MJQ did in 1974.
Man, yeah! Oh, wow!
You know,
wow.
if you want to get hooked up, I can hook you up, brother.
Please, make sure I have your number. Matter of fact, I did Milt Jackson's last concert at Birdland on 105th Street. I have some of that footage, just before he died.
Yeah. I used to go to all the concerts, most of the concerts. I know all the guys. They were a great group of guys, John Lewis, Percy Heath. As a matter of fact, I think you look a little like Percy Heath.
People used to tell me that.
You know, so, like I said, I'll leave you my number, and if you want to get a hold of me, we can talk, okay?
Okay, thank you. One more.
Thank you.
Harry, thank you, man.
All right.
Next caller, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Rob Chicago from Harlem, New York. I'm just curious, will you be having a Reverend Phil Valentine on the program anytime soon?
Can you get him to come on?
He was a frequent guest.
Have you seen?
I haven't seen him on in a while. Maybe the brother from
we used to do a lot of shows.
To get on his program.
Have you seen what he has to say about Obama?
I think he's more along the thinking of brother Witherspoon is.
He had Obama as Malcolm was his daddy.
This Messiah complex and everything. I think Obama was a politician before he was anything else, but he was articulating his hands and everything. But he's still like a swine wearing pearls. You know what I mean? But he's a politician first and everything. He's doing the bidding of his handlers and everything. He's a politician first before anything.
What do you think he should be doing?
He's doing what he's there to do. He's a politician. He's doing what he's there to do. As soon as he goes off script, and he's the next plane to crash into a mountain mysteriously. You know what I mean? So it's all scripted and everything.
Anything good to say about him?
Yes, he's articulate and he's handsome and everything. I know you are in Reverend Sharpton's camp and everything. Does Reverend Sharpton think that the 9/11 is an inside job?
He doesn't speak about that.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, he's
because he's
what?
He's friends with Obama.
That's
so
my man too. He's a disciple of Martin.
Okay, I respect both of you, brother, and I love the Haters Corner, man. It's good to see you guys linking up and everything.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Peace out, take care.
Okay,
but let me just say, that I mean this steady erosion that we're seeing in America now. I mean, it's almost like this is like some sort of dystopian nightmare that we're witnessing, and they have literally they're lulling the people to sleep. They're getting a steady drip feed of reality shows of the Kardashians. So this is what
that's why we do what we do here.
Well, I'm glad you do.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's becoming scary, and if more people don't wake up and start to speak out and challenge. I mean, because it's a relative handful of people that are
doing this,
that are guiding this ship, so to speak. And
you know, we have people sitting in a federal prison in Lower Manhattan, and people don't even know the prison is there. You walk past this building, you don't know there's a prison below ground. There are people being detained without a writ of habeas corpus. And Barack Obama has continued this agenda of detaining people without due process.
That's right.
That's wrong. It's in violation of the Constitution.
That's right.
All right? I have to criticize him on that.
Okay.
You cannot do what is illegal to fight what is illegal.
Well, how can we help Obama? We got. I want you to run the roll in at 57. Okay, just run it now. We got a minute to go. The God in me loves the God in you, and I thank my guests for coming. And we got about 30 seconds, fellas.
Well, I would like to see, instead of imprisoning Bradley Manning for possibly the rest of his life, how about imprison the people who actually committed the crime that he exposed? Nobody even talks about that. What happened to them?
The CIA?
Nothing. No, I'm talking about the people that were killing the innocent civilians and the journalists in that collateral murder video. Nothing happened to them, but they, you know, imprisoned the one who exposed the crime.
And he said there would be no, when he became president, there would be no prosecution of those responsible for starting the war in Iraq, behind the lies that were generated. Talking about Cheney, Bush, and the entire crew.
When you're in the Army, you got to be careful what you do. I mean, that's... You're not free. You don't have any freedom when you're in the service. You're a hired killer. That's what being in the Army is about.
So he's a hired killer.
Yeah.
Out of your mouth to God's ear.
Yeah, but we can't talk about American exceptionalism when we're doing horrendous things all around the world.
History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is also a compass that people use to find themselves on the map of human geography. History tells of people where they have been and what they have been, where they are and what they are. Most important, history tells a people where they still must go and what they still must be. The relationship of history to the people is the same as the relationship of a mother to her child.